right, good Saturday evening, South Mississippi. Meteorologist Taylor Graham here. Wanted to give an update on the forecast, what we're watching in the tropics. As you probably already know, we do not have an early evening newscast thanks to more college football. And if I'm not mistaken, this is probably going to be the case next week as well. So if you're joining me, thanks for tuning in. We do have a good bit to talk about in the tropics, still looking at more questions rather than answers as far as what we could be watching in the Gulf of Mexico this upcoming week. But I'm still hearing a lot of buzz about that. And we just got in the latest outlook from the National Hurricane Center, and they did increase the chance of development for the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico over the next few days. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on in the tropics. Where we have that area highlighted in red, that's where we could be seeing tropical development somewhere in the Caribbean or even the Gulf of Mexico over the next 5 to 7 days. Over the next 2 days, development still not expected. And there are a few other areas in the Atlantic that are highlighted for development. Neither of those are much of a concern, but clearly we're going to be focused on what's going to be happening in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico over the next several days. So National Hurricane Center now has bumped up the chance of development to about 70%. Nothing has developed though at this time. We're just seeing a lot of consensus between forecast models as far as something developing either in the Caribbean near the Yucatan and then possibly moving up throughout the Gulf of Mexico. I will say compared to a few days ago, I'm noticing more thunderstorm activity in the Northwest Caribbean. This is part of what we call the Central American Gyre. This is a very broad area of low pressure. Sometimes we see more thunderstorm activity, and out of the Central American Gyre, we can sometimes get tropical systems to form. Like I said though, over the next 2 days, not really expecting anything to develop. However, forecast models still on board at something getting a little bit more organized, possibly by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. This is a run of Futurecast, and notice that by Tuesday, starting to see a little bit more organization, possibly in the Northwest Caribbean, close to the Yucatan. Where exactly the system is going to form, that's still up in the air. It's really hard to predict that at this point, but overall, generally looking at something trying to spin up by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week or this upcoming week. Still a lot of questions as far as where exactly the system may go, how strong it's going to get. A lot of it is going to be determined with where exactly it forms and what the steering patterns in the upper levels are going to be. Generally speaking, it looks like by the middle to end of this upcoming week, we're going to see a trough start to dig down, possibly somewhere in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, maybe even in the Mid-South. What that's going to do is possibly to help us steer this tropical system farther to the north through the Gulf of Mexico. That ridge of high pressure off the east coast may weaken a little bit, may move off towards the east, and so that's also going to allow this potential tropical system to move up into the northern Gulf Coast. Now, where exactly it goes, it's just too early to know at this point. We don't even have a center of circulation to track, and where the center forms will also help determine where exactly it's going to go. If the center of circulation forms a little bit farther to the west, we may see a bit more of a westward track. If it forms a little bit more so to the east, we may see a bit more of an eastern track. Generally speaking, folks that live in coastal Louisiana through South Mississippi, Alabama, into the west coast of Florida need to pay attention to the forecast over the next several days. As for the weekend, you can rest easy. To be honest, the weekend forecast is looking nice, and we will keep a close eye on things over the next several days as far as how the system may develop. But again, we don't have a center to track at this point, so a lot of unknowns with where exactly the system may go, how strong it's going to get. If we were to see any impacts out of the system, it likely wouldn't even be until Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this upcoming week. So again, the rest of the weekend into the early part of this week, weather-wise, looking pretty nice actually. So keep checking back in with updates. Once we finally get that center to form, we'll have a better idea of where exactly it could go. So again, I know It seems maybe kind of nebulous. I don't have any concrete answers at this time. You may have been seeing some scary model runs on social media, online. Take those with a huge grain of salt. Models are really going to be flip-flopping as far as where exactly it's going to go until we get that center of circulation. For now, stay tuned. Always a good idea to be prepared during this part of the year for any tropical systems. Of course, we have just passed the peak of hurricane season. Tropical activity not uncommon during this time of the year. And if this system were to become a named storm, the next name on the list is Helene, and then after that is Isaac. So as of right now, no immediate threats to South Mississippi, but it is important to stay tuned on the forecast over the next few days. And once we get a center of circulation to develop, we will have a little bit of a better idea of where the system may go. Now, locally, for the time being, the weather looks pretty nice. And today it was nice. It was hot, not as humid. Fall actually officially begins tomorrow at 7:44 in the morning. So this is the final night of summer, and we have a nice sunset, it looks like, to wrap up the summer season. Of course, it was hot today, but you know what? The humidity wasn't too bad. As we wind our Saturday evening, or I should say our Saturday afternoon down, it looks like temperatures still holding on to the upper 80s. Dew points in the low 70s, a little muggy, but it could be worse for us. And now that we are getting past the sunset, our temperatures are starting to drop a little bit. We've got some of those low to mid 80s pretty much across the board as of 6:48. And overnight tonight, our temperatures will continue to drop into the low to mid 70s. Rain, it's not in the forecast. I think the rest of the night is going to stay nice and calm. So if you have any evening plans, looks like you are completely good to go. We didn't really see any rain today, nor are we really going to see much rain tomorrow. At the very most, maybe a stray shower, but tomorrow looks just as nice as today, in my opinion. Should see a good bit of sunshine. Temperatures tomorrow close to 90. And then we do this again on Monday, starting off in the low to mid 70s. Monday afternoon, nice and quiet. It is going to be hot though, with temperatures close to 90, but rain chance is still looking slim to none as we head into Monday. Temperatures throughout this upcoming week are going to be dependent on how much cloud cover and rain we get. At least through Tuesday and Wednesday, we're still expecting high temperatures in the upper 80s. By Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, maybe just a little bit cooler depending on what's going on in the tropics and how much rain we're going to see. If we do see more of an impact from that tropical system by Thursday and Friday, that could knock our temperatures down a little bit. And of course, that's also going to be impacting our rain chances. So there is some uncertainty with the forecast Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It is going to be based off of where exactly this tropical system may go. So don't be surprised if you see changes in the forecast by Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but at least throughout the rest of the weekend into the early part of the week, weather-wise, looks pretty nice. Of course, even though for fall, it is going to be hot. It is South Mississippi after all. So it's not very often that the first day of fall around here actually feels like it. Summer's still in full swing as far as how it feels tomorrow and also into Monday with temperatures close to 90. But again, by Thursday and Friday, we will closely be watching how things evolve with that possible tropical system moving into the Gulf. If we were to see more impacts of that, our rain chances will be on the rise, but again, a lot of unknowns at this point with where exactly the system is going to go. The overall message that we want people to take away for the time being is just to check back in with us on updates. Once we have a well-defined center, we are going to be able to forecast more easily where exactly it's going to go, and at that point, we'll have a better idea of how strong it may become. And also, as it gets its act together, the hurricane hunters will be able to fly through it at that point. If need be, they will be gathering more data. Just overall, it's just too early to really know who along the Gulf Coast this is going to be impacting and how strong it's going to get. So I know a lot of people would rather have more concrete answers, but I'm just being upfront. It's just too early to predict where exactly the system may travel over the next 5 to 7 days. And when exactly or where exactly it's going to form. That's still a little up in the air at this point. We just are noticing that forecast models as a whole continue to hint at some sort of tropical development somewhere close to the Yucatan by the middle of this upcoming week. So stay tuned on the forecast. I'm happy to say though that the rest of the weekend is looking nice and quiet. Hopefully you can enjoy being outside a little bit. It will be hot, but in the shade, not too bad. The humidity could be worse for this time of the year. And even though if you're hoping for some more fall-like weather, history tells us that eventually we will be cooling down at some point. It's not going to be for the first day of fall, but at least we do have lots of sunshine. So that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. We will have more coming up tonight during our 10 o'clock newscast, depending on what time these football games end. That may push our newscast back a little bit, so just a heads up on that. But we will be having a late night newscast tonight, so I will have more information, any new updates going on regarding the tropics and our local forecast. So for the time being, I am signing off here, and we hope to see you at 10 o'clock.